Hey friends, welcome back to Redefining Her Game. I'm so glad you pressed play today. Whether you've been here since the beginning or this is your very first episode, I want you to know you're in the right place. This space is for women who are ready to stop playing small, stop following rules that were never meant for us, and start rewriting what life, career, and joy looks like on our terms. And if you're waiting for a sign, this just might be it. So let's set the scene for today. Last week in episode 6, we talked about the shift from comparison to proof, how to stop shrinking in someone else's light and instead see her as evidence that what you want is possible. That conversation was so powerful, and I've heard from so many of you that it hit home. But here's the thing. Even when we see the proof, even when we believe it's possible, so many of us get stuck. We freeze, we hold ourselves back, we tell others and ourselves, we'll start when the kids are older, or when I feel ready, or when someone finally says, I can. And that's what we're diving into today, the power of permission. Because here's the truth. No one is going to show up at your door with a permission slip to live the life you want. You're not going to get an official stamp of approval to chase the dream that keeps tugging at your heart. That's your job. You have to give yourself the permission you've been waiting for. And when you do, it's life-changing. It changes everything because giving yourself permission isn't just about you. It's about the ripple it creates. So when you say yes to your own dreams, you give other women silent permission to do the same. You tell your daughters, your coworkers, it's safe to dream big. It's safe to take up space. It's safe to start again and again and again. So today we're going to talk about why we wait for permission, how to start writing our own permission slips, and why this shift could actually change the culture around us. And what I want you to think this conversation is like sitting down with a girlfriend over coffee. This isn't a lecture. This isn't me saying I've been there too. I've held myself back. Like I've waited for someone else to choose me. I've learned that the only person, literally the only person who can free me is me. So grab your mug, take me along on your walk, and let's dive in together. Because the power of permission, it just might be the most important gift you give yourself this year. Okay, so let's be honest with each other. How many times have you had a dream or an idea, but instead of chasing it, you thought to yourself, well, maybe someday, maybe when the timing's better, maybe when the kids are older, maybe when I have more experience. Like, we've all done it. And if we're really honest, sometimes someday is just another way of saying, I don't feel like I'm allowed yet. And that's the thing. We wait for permission. We wait for somebody else to come along and say, you're ready. You're good enough. You have what it takes. But the hard truth, no one's freaking coming. That green light we're waiting for, it's not out there. It has to come from inside us. So why don't we dig into why we do this? Because for a lot of us, maybe it starts when we were young. Think back when you were being a little girl, you probably heard things like, don't be too loud, don't take up too much space, play nice, don't rock the boat. And without realizing it, we learned that approval comes when we follow the rules, when we make other people comfortable, when we don't color too far outside the lines. Fast forward into adulthood, and guess what? That voice is still frickin' there. Only now it sounds like, don't quit your stable job. Don't start something new, you might fail. Don't speak up in the meeting, someone might not like it. They won't like your tone. And so we sit and we wait and we hope someone else will open the door for us. I remember when I first thought about starting Redefining Her Game. I had all these ideas, all this passion, but I kept stalling. Like I thought, who am I to start hosting a podcast? Like, who am I to take up space like that? And deep down, I think I was waiting for someone else to say, Jen, go for it. You're ready. But that moment never came. What did come was a quiet realization. If I don't give myself permission, I'll still be sitting here in 5 years wishing I had. And I'll bet you probably had moments like that too, right? So here's what I've noticed. We wait for permission because we don't want the risk of disappointing anyone. We're afraid of being too much or not enough. We want to know someone else believes in us before we dare to believe in ourselves. But let me ask you this. What would change if you stopped waiting? Like, what dream is sitting in the back of your mind right now that you've been pressing pause on? Not because you don't want it, but because you don't feel like you're allowed yet. Maybe it's going back to school. Maybe it's leaving the job that drains you. Maybe it's writing the book, starting the business, or finally making space for yourself in a way that you never had before. Whatever it is, I want you to sit with this question. What permission am I waiting for that no one is ever going to give me? Because that's where we start. Awareness, naming it, saying out loud, I've been waiting for permission, but I don't actually need it. And in a minute, we're going to talk about what it looks like to give yourself that permission instead. But first, let that truth land. If you're waiting for someone else to hand you the green light, you might be waiting forever, and you deserve better than that. So now that we named it, we know we're often sitting around waiting for permission the world will never hand us. Let's talk about what it actually looks like to give yourself permission. Because here's the truth. Nobody knows your life, your dreams, or your capacity better than you do. And if you've been waiting for someone to give you the green light, consider this episode your official slip of paper. Giving yourself permission isn't always about huge, dramatic life changes. Sometimes it's just small, everyday choices. It might sound like, I give myself permission to rest without guilt. I give myself permission to say no, even if it disappoints someone. I give myself permission to say yes to joy, even when the to-do list isn't done. I give myself permission to start something new, even if I don't feel 100% ready. I give myself permission to take up space, even if it makes other people uncomfortable. Permission's about freedom. It's about letting yourself live outside that little box you've been stuffed into. When I first started dreaming about creating a nonprofit to help women and girls become better equipped for jobs and careers, it came from such like a personal place. I wanted women and girls to step into their jobs and careers with as much confidence as possible. I wanted them to walk into an interview or their very first day of work feeling like they had a whole team of women behind them cheering them on. Because I knew what it felt like to walk into those spaces unsure of yourself, second guessing everything, wondering if you belonged. And I didn't want them to feel alone in that. But here's the twist. I wasn't doubting myself in the exact same ways. I wanted to help them overcome. I remember thinking, who am I to do this? What can I really offer? Will people or other organizations even actually take me seriously? And so I waited. I waited for approval. I waited for someone else to give me the nod, that green light, that stamp of yes, you can do this. But it never came. What did come, though, was this quiet realization. If I keep waiting, nothing will change. They'll still be walking into rooms feeling like they don't belong. So I had a choice. Do I stay stuck in my doubts or step forward anyway, even if it was messy, even if I didn't have all the answers? So I gave myself permission. Permission to start small, permission to learn as I went, permission to build something that mattered, even if it wasn't perfect. And that decision, that tiny shift to give myself permission, is the reason She Shines Foundation exists today. And here's the part I want you to hear. You don't have to wait either. Like, you can give yourself that same permission, like right here, right now. So let's try it together. Grab a piece of paper, or just do this in your head if you're walking or driving, and write the words. I give myself permission to. And then finish a sentence. Don't overthink it. Just let whatever comes to mind spill out. Because that little sentence, that's where everything begins. Again, don't overthink it. Whatever comes up first is actually the thing you've been holding back on. Maybe it's, I give myself permission to rest. Or I give myself permission to stop comparing myself to her. I give myself permission to finally take that next step. Write it down. Say it out loud. Put it somewhere you'll see it. So here's the thing. The more you repeat it, the more your brain starts to believe it. And if you really want to make it powerful, write multiple permission slips. Make it a practice. Pin them on your mirror. Stick one inside your journal. Tuck one into your laptop bag. Every time you see it, it's a reminder that you don't need the world's approval. You've already got your own. And here's the magic. The moment you start giving yourself permission, your energy changes. You move differently, you speak differently, the people around you notice, and suddenly you're not waiting for life to happen to you. You're leading it. You're not asking, can I? You're declaring, I will. And that energy, that's contagious. It inspires so many other women. It tells them, if she can step out, maybe I can too. So let me ask you, what's one area of your life where you need to stop waiting and start granting yourself permission? Is it your career, your health, your relationships, your creativity? Pause and really think about it, because naming it is the first step to reclaiming it. And here's the thing I want you to carry with you. Permission isn't a gift from someone else. It's a practice you give yourself every day. The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. The freer you feel. See, here's the part that gives me goosebumps every time, though. When you give yourself permission, you're not just changing your own life. You're creating permission for other women too. Think about it like this. When one woman takes a bold step forward, it doesn't happen in isolation. It sends out a signal, like a ripple in the water. Other women see her, and suddenly their world feels a little bigger too. So how it works in real life, when you quit the job that drains you and step into something that lights you up, another woman sees that and thinks, maybe I can too. When you say yes to rest instead of running yourself into the ground, another mom watches and thinks, maybe I don't have to do it all to be worthy. When you start your business, write the book, go back to school, or just take your dream seriously, you show someone else the door isn't locked. In fact, it's open. This is the ripple effect. It's contagious. Here's an example from my own life, right? When I was first dreaming up of She Shines Foundation, I mentioned earlier that I almost didn't move forward because of doubt. But when I finally gave myself permission and took those small steps, something surprising happened. that's when people started reaching out. Some women told me they had been wanting to start something similar but didn't think they could. Others said, watching you do this gave me the courage to take my own idea seriously. I thought I was just building a nonprofit. But what I was really doing was creating proof and permission for other women to start too. And that's when it clicked. Our choices are never just about us. Here's the wild thing. You might not even know who's watching you. Maybe there's a coworker quietly admiring how you speak up in meetings. There's a friend noticing how you set boundaries. There's a daughter, a niece, maybe even a stranger online, seeing you choose courage over comfort. They might never tell you, but they're watching. And in their minds, you are the proof and the permission that it's possible. So I want you to think of a moment. Who in your life has given you permission just by the way they lived? Maybe it was a teacher who believed in you. Maybe it was a friend who chased a dream unapologetically. Maybe it was your mom, sister, grandma who modeled strength in her own quiet way. Just take a second to name her in your head. Because if she could do that for you, I promise you are doing that for someone else right now. Here's the thing though. We often downplay our impact. We think, I'm not doing anything special. I'm just figuring it out as I go. But that's exactly why it's powerful. Proof doesn't require perfection. Permission doesn't require you to have all the answers. In fact, it's usually your messy, in progress, imperfect courage that inspires someone the most. When you let yourself step forward, even scared, you create a space for others to step forward scared too. So imagine this with me. A circle of women, each one giving herself permission to dream bigger, live bolder, and take up space. Every time one woman steps out, it sends ripples through the circle, encouraging the next and the next and the next. That's how movements are born. That's how cultures shift. That's how generations change. So please don't underestimate the ripple you create. When you give yourself permission, you're not just freeing yourself. You're showing other women it's possible. Those that have been watching quietly, waiting for proof that it can be done. All right. So now that we've talked about what permission is and how it creates ripples, let's bring it down to the everyday level. Because permission isn't just about those really big moves, quitting a job, starting a business, writing a book. Permission also lives in the small daily choices we make. And honestly, it's those daily choices that strengthen the muscle. So when the big decisions come, you're ready. So here are some simple everyday permissions you can start practicing now. Are you ready? Permission to rest. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to explain it. Taking a nap, closing the laptop, saying no to one more commitment, that's valid. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is pause. Permission to say no without a 10-sentence explanation, without apologizing, without guilt. No is a complete sentence, and it doesn't make you selfish. It makes you clear. Permission to say yes. Yes to joy, yes to fun, yes to the thing that lights you up, even if it doesn't check a box on someone else's list. Joy is a valid reason. Permission to not be perfect. Perfection keeps us stuck. Permission gives us freedom to try, to fail, to adjust, to learn, to try again. Messy progress is still progress. And permission to ask for help. You don't have to carry it all alone. Asking for support doesn't make you weak, it makes you wise. For me, one of the hardest daily permissions has been rest. I used to feel guilty if I wasn't constantly producing or serving. I'd push myself to the point of exhaustion because I felt like I had to prove my worth through doing. But once I started giving myself permission to rest without it like labeling as lazy, I noticed something shift. I actually showed up better in my work, in my relationships, even in my creativity. The world didn't fall apart because I took a break. In fact, it expanded because I had more energy to pour into it. So here's the key. Permission is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Start with one small permission slip a day. Literally say to yourself, today I give myself permission to leave work on time. Today I give myself permission to take a walk instead of answering emails. Today I give myself permission to start messy instead of waiting for perfect. Doesn't have to be big to be powerful. Small little steps. So here's my challenge to you. What's one small permission you can give yourself today? Just one. Say it aloud right now, wherever you are. Whisper it if you have to. Feel how it lands on your body and notice how your shoulders drop and how your breathing gets lighter. When you actually give yourself that permission, the more you practice these daily permissions, the more natural it becomes to give yourself permission on the big things. And that's when life really starts to shift. So here's what I want you to land with today. Giving yourself permission is one of the most game-changing things you can do. And I don't mean game-changing just for you. I mean for every woman around you. For your daughters, your coworkers, your community. Permission shifts the rules. It changes the game that has always been played. Society often benefits when women play small, when we stay agreeable, quiet, self-sacrificing. We're praised for being helpers and putting everyone else first, for staying inside the lines. While those qualities can be beautiful, when they become the only script we're allowed to live by, they keep us stuck. So when you say I give myself permission to rest, to dream big, to pivot careers, to speak up, to take up space, you're rewriting the rules. You're changing the game, not only for yourself, but for every woman watching you. That makes it so powerful. And I'll be honest, when I first started saying yes to my own dreams, it felt uncomfortable, even selfish. I'd catch myself thinking, shouldn't I be focusing on everyone else? What if people think I'm full of myself? But then this hit me. My daughters are watching me. The women in my life are watching me. And if I never gave myself permission, what message am I sending them? That they should stay small too? That they should wait to be chosen? That wasn't the legacy I wanted to pass on. So every time I said yes to something that scared me, even starting this podcast, I wasn't just doing it for me. I was showing them what courage looks like. And in that moment, giving myself permission wasn't selfish. It was courageous. And here's the other side of it. When we don't give ourselves permission, we just keep us stuck. It keeps the women around us stuck too. Like the coworker who needs to see you step up so she knows it's safe for her to step up. The friend who needs to see you set boundaries so she knows she can set hers. The daughter who needs to see you rest so she knows worth isn't tied to burnout. When we withhold permission from ourselves, We unintentionally withhold it from them. But when you do give yourself permission, something powerful shifts. You create freedom. You create possibility. Permission says, I don't have to do it the way it's always been done. I don't need to be perfect. Timing doesn't need to be rightly aligned. I don't need the world's approval to chase what's in my heart. That's not just powerful, it's freeing. So here's a question for you. What's the most game-changing permission you could give yourself right now? And not the easy one, the big one. The one that scares you a little bit, but excites you too. Say it. Write it. Even if you're not ready to act on it, owning it is the first courageous step. All right, friends. Let's take a breath as we close today's conversation. We've talked about why we wait for permission, how to start writing our own permission slips, and how those choices ripple out in powerful ways to the women around us. Here's what I want you to carry with you this week. You don't need to wait anymore. You don't need the world's approval or the perfect timing or someone else's green light. You already have permission. And when you take it, it's game-changing. It's powerful. It's courageous. So your challenge for this week, write down yourself a permission slip. Literally grab a sticky note, a journal page, or even your phone, and write the words, I give myself permission to, and finish the sentence. Maybe it's big, maybe it's small, but write it down. Then speak it out loud. There's something about hearing your own voice say those words that makes it real. Just give it a try. Whisper it if you have to, but let yourself hear it. And then finally hand it forward. Choose one woman in your life and give her a permission slip to. Could be as simple as saying, I see you, and you don't need anyone else's approval to go after that dream. Imagine how freeing that could be for her. Because when you give yourself permission, you don't just change your own story. You change hers too. And together, that's how we redefine the game. Thanks for spending this time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, share it with a friend who needs that nudge to stop waiting and start living. And please subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And come connect with me on socials so we can celebrate your permission slips together. Until next time, remember this. You don't have to wait for the right time. You don't have to wait for approval. You are already enough. And you already have permission.